In a word, when he came to us, the baby was, it's life-threatening. When he came to us, we were all very surprised how the baby made it on the flight, to be honest. When he came, he arrived here, he arrived at another hospital first, and the other hospital asked the baby to be transferred, to the parents to come to Ireland instantly, because there wasn't any pediatric surgery specialty in that particular hospital, so they know that we have the specialty. So, but when the baby arrived in A&E, I was operating, so I asked my pediatric colleague, Dr. Sheau Chui, to have a look at this baby in A&E. One look at the baby, and she immediately called the anaesthetist, my anaesthetist Dr. Lee, and we had to transfer the baby right off to the ICU to be intubated because he was gasping in the ER. So the tumour was huge. Baby's weight was 7 kilograms that we recorded, but the weight of the tumour made up about half of the baby's weight. It's very rare. There's not many records of it, but I happen to keep the biggest record of this so-called congenital tumours in Malaysia. I even wrote a paper on this. So I knew what this was. I knew that the treatment that the baby has received is incorrect, although the diagnosis that was made was correct. The whole main issue wasn't so much of the procedure, but it's to the events that are leading up to the procedure, because the baby came and he virtually collapsed in ER, had to be brought to ICU right away and intubated for the next 3 days. And the reason for that is because we needed to stabilize the baby. He wasn't fit for surgery at that time. He needed ventilation, he needed the lungs to be better because he was totally unfit for anesthesia and to undertake a major surgery. So a lot of things need to be corrected before surgery. Surgery had been attempted on this little baby, and it was what we say an open and close, meaning the doctor opened up the baby, had a little look around, and realized that this is the tumor was too big, or this is perhaps a bit too much for the particular surgeon, and took a bit of biopsy, rummaged around a little bit, and closed the wound. And that really made the whole the subsequent operation a lot more difficult. So when we did our operation, the tumor was occupying almost the entire abdomen. It was stuck to all the major organs. It was stuck to the stomach, it was stuck to the pancreas. But most importantly, it was also encasing the major blood vessel that is to the liver. And this was perhaps the most difficult part of the operation, because this was the part where the previous operation was attempted, so there was a lot of adhesions. So in order to remove the tumor completely and in one piece, I had to resect this particular blood vessel, a segment of it, and then I had to reconstruct it. And this is something which is very, very rarely done even in adults. But we wanted to get a cure. As in a lot of what happens in pediatric surgery these days, the key thing is actually collaboration with my colleagues, all my colleagues, every specialty, and foremost of which is pediatric anesthesia. Because if I don't have a safe pediatric anesthetist like Dr. Zai, then I won't be able to do this operation, because the operation all involves is just removing the tumor, but a lot of it is support. You have to support the heart, you have to support the ventilation, the lungs, you have to make sure that the blood pressure remains normal. So I think that is the main thing these days, the one that makes it possible for us to do things which are not possible in the past. Yes, these days we do have a lot of tools at our disposal. The most key important thing is the baby must not lose a drop of blood. So we do have lots of instruments that can help to minimize, not completely eliminate blood loss, but minimize blood loss. Therefore this baby went through the operation safely. I was shocked to see the child yesterday because we had trouble recognizing the child when we went to receive the child at the airport, because when he came to us, he was just a scrawny little thing, and even after operation he was even more scrawny because we already removed 2 kilograms, or almost half his body weight. But he made a remarkable recovery. He really did. They had quite a bit of support in Indonesia as well. The doctors were very, very helpful, and he really thrived. Not in terms of just physically, but also mentally. He's very, very alert. He's very aware. The only thing that we have to look at probably is just trying to get his weight up to scratch. But aside from that, he's eating well. He's so active. He's achieved his normal milestones for his age. So, in short, I would say that the operation has changed his life. Baby Zehan is really, truly a remarkable, a very unique. I think it's probably something that I will do once and once only in my life. He was at the brink of death, and we managed to pull him back. Well, when we kept him in ICU, we managed to get him better. But by the time we are ready to do the operation, the parents told us that they've exhausted all their funds. So they had no more money to pay for subsequent care of the baby, for him. And to the extent that they said they cannot pay for the treatment, then they would not proceed with any more treatment, which is effectively a death sentence. We were not going to sit around and let somebody effectively terminate a life just for this, because I know this tumor, I know the treatment, I know we can do this. It's a very challenging process, but we were very certain that we can save this baby, and the only thing holding us back was finance. It was just money. So just before we turn off the ventilator, I put it to the parents that, see, if we get you the funds, would you let us continue the treatment that we already planned? And of course, that was no hesitation on that. There was no hesitation on the part of the parents. So for the first time ever, the doctors took the initiative to collect funds for this baby. Because although all the doctors, all of us, every single doctor that was involved in the care of this patient waived his or her fees, so meaning we did pro bono work, there was still costs involved in terms of ventilator, ICU care, antibiotics. All that's very costly. So if you ask me what inspired me, yes, just to save a life. And I think to save a life is definitely worth however much it's going to cost. The very first case we've had to deal with in this manner, and it's not our customary practice, to say the least, but we've looked at it carefully, and we believe that we need to create a fund. We need to have a fund for this. We should overcome the notion that everyone's going to come forward and say we need charity treatment. No, we do know. We know after years of practice, we know who needs treatment and who needs treatment desperately. So I think the takeaway is that we are going to continue with this, but we're going to do it in a more organized manner. Okay? We had so many lucky breaks. We had so many people who helped. We had so many people from overseas, so many strangers, so many anonymous people who contributed financially. morally and also in prayers for this little baby. So we are going to carry this case forward and do it as a policy for the hospital now, so that when we have such a case, we do have sort of a structured program for this.
And I think the best part is seeing the baby right outside of the clinic, in so healthy and almost like a normal grown child. So that's the best thing, right?
I think my most memorable moment with Zehan was when he first arrived. He was very sick. I just cannot forget that time. And seeing him now is such a miracle. Such a handsome little boy. And the day when he left, I was also very relieved, in a way that we didn't give up on him. And Dr. Badrul, Dr. Tan, we did a good job as a good team, in a good team.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Doctor.